It is story time with Uncle Scotty. I am your host, Uncle Scotty. We have our own mugs. Shout out to our sponsor, Time, for always giving us story time, because without time, what would story time with Uncle Scotty be? Story with Uncle Scotty. Less fun, less cool. Now, listen, we have been reading The Buried Bones Mystery, and we are in the thick of figuring out the mystery. Scary things are happening. Weird things are happening. Super scary things are happening. And so, last time, the boys are having the camp out to find out what's happening. They get quiet. Mr. Greene comes along, singing the songs about them bones are gonna rise again. Goes there, tries to dig up he finds the box of bones that the Black Dinosaurs had found. Ziggy sneezes, achoo. And then Mr. Greene starts to attack, tries to threaten and attack the boys, I don't know, and then they defend themselves, and they tripped him up. And so now we're gonna find out what happens next. So, we have been reading, let me just slow down, I'm so excited about this book right now. We have been reading The Buried Bones Mystery by Sharon M. Draper, who is a Coretta Scott King Award-winning author. I also want to give some special love to one of our Storytimers, readers, listeners out there, Pony. Pony in Los Angeles. I think Pony has a birthday coming up, and I've had the joy of seeing some of Pony's artwork recently. And so, Pony, I think that if you ever have a thing, anytime, where you're showing your art out in the world, I hope you have the best time with it, and I'm excited to hear about it and see all the art that you've created for it. So thank you for watching Storytime, being such a wonderful supporter with your own mug. Okay, The Buried Bones Mystery. We're at chapter 10. Also, this is the penultimate chapter. There are 11 chapters in this book, I believe, and we are at chapter 10. So in 2 days, we'll be finished with this book, and I just wanted to mention that I think Storytime with Uncle Scotty is going to take a little bit of a break, a little bit of a timeout. For a little bit, I don't know how long, but maybe a couple weeks, and then we'll be back with a new book. So, just want to let you know that, but let me know. My email address is below, and if you would like a little chapter, a little book read, you're free to reach out, and maybe I can do that over the course of the break. And then we also have, I think 5 or 6 other books that we have read, and so if you haven't seen those, you're welcome to revisit those, or visit those for the first time. Okay, chapter 10. The flash of lightning that followed the thunder brightened... Let me start over. Chapter 10. The flash of lightning that followed the thunder brightened the whole scene for just an instant. The 4 frightened boys surrounding an angry old man tangled in a rope on the ground. Rico held the baseball bat. Ziggy held Rico's treasure flashlight. Oh, so remember, Ziggy spoke into the treasure flashlight because it made the sound really loud, and then turned on the siren. So the light was bright, the siren was happening, and it was like, put down that shovel, man. Rashawn held the empty pizza box like a shield, and Jerome had his finger on the trigger of the can of bug spray, ready to fire. I'll get you kids for this, Mr. Greene screamed at them. I'll destroy you, all the destroyers. Then, just as the next booming clap of thunder exploded above them, Mr. Greene bowed his head and burst into tears. The boys lowered their weapons and looked at one another in confusion. And here you can see Mr. Greene in the rope, wiping his eyes because he has tears. I've never seen a grown man cry before, said Rico uncomfortably. The wind suddenly started to blow harder, and the first large drops of rain splashed the scene. Mr. Greene, who no longer looked so scary, sat weeping on the ground in front of the clubhouse, not noticing the rain, not even noticing the boys. Let's take him inside, Mon, said Ziggy. We're going to get a big storm real quick. Not knowing what else to do, they helped Mr. Greene up and led him into the clubhouse. They sat him gently on a lawn chair. Rico gave him a Kleenex, and Rashawn offered him a grape soda. No one knew what to say, so for a moment they just listened to the thunder and the storm and wished they were home in their own beds. Then Ziggy screamed. Everyone jumped up. Jerome made a dash for the door, even though it was pouring rain. What's wrong? Shouted Rico. Don't scream like that. We're leaking, Mon. There's water dripping down my back. It spooked me for a second, that's it. Don't do that kind of stuff, man, said Jerome. We got enough to deal with tonight. So what are we going to do about the leak in the roof? Asked Rashawn. For the first time, Mr. Greene spoke up. He had wiped his tears and was breathing normally. Why don't you take that raincoat over there and put it on the roof where it's leaking? Put a rock over the coat to hold it down. That's what we used to do in our treehouse when we were little kids. They just stared at him for a minute, amazed that this scary old man used to be a kid. Then Ziggy grabbed the raincoat, dashed out into the rain, and covered the leak. A minute later, he ran back in, soaking wet, but was smiling again. "Many thanks, Mon," said Ziggy. "So, you gonna tell us what's wrong? Or should I get my dad, who's a cop?" said Rashawn with a hint of a threat in his voice. "Sounded like you had the whole entire police department right here in your clubhouse," said Mr. Greene, chuckling. "What I wouldn't have given to have a wonderful toy like that when I was your age." Remember, he had the police flashlight, and I think that the pop, 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 pop were Ziggy's little firecrackers. So they're like these little things, we'll put a picture up, but like they're wrapped in tissue paper, and when you throw them, they make a pop sound. So they're not really a toy to be playing with, but they're also not danger. Like, some kids can play with them sometimes. But I would not recommend it. I don't like it. I wouldn't do it. But that's what they had. So they threw those, and they were just like, they just made loud pop noises. "Why did you try to hurt us?" asked Rico, who still held on to the baseball bat. "And what were you digging for?" asked Jerome. He figured there was no way Mr. Greene could have known that they'd found that box of bones. "And where's Blackosaurus, my dinosaur?" Rashawn asked angrily. I'm sorry I frightened you boys. I just wanted to scare you away. I wasn't going to hurt you." The thunder continued to rumble, and the lightning flashed, while the rain beat steadily down on the roof of the clubhouse. Ziggy wrapped a blanket around himself, and the four boys huddled in the corner of the cabin, away from the windows, which let in a very wet breeze. Mr. Greene sat in the middle, relaxed, as if he were finally glad to have someone to talk to. "Hey, Mon," said Ziggy with a smile. "You gonna tell us the real deal?" "I'll do better than that," replied Mr. Greene. "How about if I tell you a story?" "That'd be cool," said Jerome. But no scary stuff. It's not that I'm scared, but Rico here, he can't deal with it." "Not me," said Rico. "Rashawn is the one who jumps up out of his skin every time the lightning flashes." "Oh, man, quit that," said Rashawn. "All of us were ready to split a minute ago." "Okay now," said Ziggy. "Let the Mon tell his tale." And we'll find out what happens next in the last chapter, next time on Storytime with Uncle Scotty. I have been your host, Uncle Scotty. We have our own mugs. Thank you for watching. I am so excited to hear the story that Mr. Greene has to offer, and I'm so glad that they are hanging out in the clubhouse together in the rain, huddled up, feeling comfortable and feeling good, intrigued by each other. We're going to learn something next time. Okay, bye!